Hey, how's it going, everybody? Haussmann Comics here. Hope you guys are staying Haussy. I don't know about you, but I am recording this in 100 frickin' degree weather. I don't know what that is. I'm Canadian. It's like 36 degrees here. I've had to shut off my air conditioner to do this recording. Anyway, gonna bring you a Wolverine costume tier list here. I've put together about 40 different costumes Wolverine's had, and we're gonna take a look at them and rank them. And we're gonna rank them from snicked to astonishing, if I could spell. B would be best there is. C we're going to call, and this breaks my heart, but Canadian. D would be days of better costumes. And F for feral. Alright, let's jump into it. Right here at the beginning we have the very first Hulk. Incredible Hulk 181, the first Wolverine costume ever. Kitty Cat Wolverine, some people call it. And that, I think, stuck around for like one or two issues. As soon as he joined the X-Men, it changed. So that is going under Canadian. As I said, in Giant Size X-Men number 1, when we see him again, he's got this different costume right here. Dave Cockrum. That's the yellow tiger stripe costume. He wore that forever. Oh, it's so iconic. Is that snicked or is that astonishing? Astonishing? Astonishing. I'm going to maybe change it later, but for now it's going in astonishing. Like, that is just the stalwart. That is the best costume. Like, it's the iconic one that stuck around. It's always there. It should be up in snicked, but I mean, there are going to be costumes that I like better. So, it's astonishing. These, for a little bit, are chronological, and then they stop being chronological. This is the Fang costume. When they're fighting the Guardians of not the Guardians of the Galaxy, they were up in space fighting the Imperial Guard. And Wolverine got his costume all wrecked, and then he fought Fang and took his costume. And Dave Cockrum was actually, I think, intending on this being his new costume, and John Byrne started like right after that and was like, no, I don't want to draw that, I don't like it, so he took him out of it. I think it's funny, like, this is always on a list of Wolverine costumes, but he wore it for like an issue and a half. Like, he hardly wore it at all. It's above Canadian, so that's the best there is, the Fang costume. For some reason, it went on and became iconic. X-23, I believe, wore it for a bit. And he went back to the classic, and then he broke out the brown. The brown and tan. Once again, it's that, like, Wolverine does have two iconic looks. Like, you can put him in either one of these costumes, and either one of them work, and you're right away, that's Wolverine. And actually, you look at them side by side like this, they are very different. They're very different costumes. But yeah, Uncanny X-Men 139, he busts out this brown and tan costume that he wore like through the 80s, and then just again, like, he just goes back and forth nowadays. He goes more to the tiger stripe yellow and blue, but the brown and tan comes out, and it's not out of place. Like, that is just crazy. Like, if Iron Man wears an older costume, you can tell. If Daredevil were to break out his armor, it's for a reason. Like, when Spider-Man breaks out his black costume, it's a bigger deal. Wolverine just can go between these two costumes like nobody's business. A costume he can't is when he got his own solo series. He wanted to have a costume that differentiated himself. This was after the miniseries. This was the ongoing. It was just a black costume. He had black paint over his eyes. Plain costume. There is nothing to it. D. Days of better costumes. I don't like it. That said, I'm also going to gauge some of these on whether or not they've had an action figure made, a Marvel Legend, and that one did have a Marvel Legend. Also in that series, he went by Patch. I was going to have Patch in here twice. Just Patch in general, because Wolverine thought, I got this distinctive hair, what can I do? I know, if I wear an eye patch, people won't realize I'm Wolverine. But Patch in a tuxedo, that's a snicked. That's a snicked. That is so iconic. There's that cover probably right here of him and Hulk. Come on, and then they just made a 2-pack of that, Marvel Legends. And pretty sure we're going to get to see this in Deadpool and Wolverine, so yeah, that's a snicked. Ooh, hot take coming up here. We got his Weapon X costume. He's going to call his origin costume. His origin costume coming up. Weapon X. Weapon X, again, iconic look. Several figures made of it. He's got that helmet on. They recreated it in, what was it, X-Men Apocalypse? It's good. It's not, like, you couldn't watch him in that every day, right? He couldn't hold down a series for 10 years where he's wearing that all the time. Best there is, or Canadian, because it's also Canadian. Best there is, just because of its iconicness. And this one. This is a look I have always loved. It's Spy Wolverine from Team X. Maverick was wearing one of these. Sabretooth was wearing one of these. Wolverine's wearing one of these. I've always loved the look. We got a figure of it in the 90s, and I thought it was so cool. I just personally love the look of it, so that is going S tier for me, just because it's different, but it's still Wolverine. It's so good, and we don't have a modern-day Marvel Legend. I'm no longer really collecting, but I think if they put out a Team X, oh, yeah, I'd be all over that, especially if it's him and Sabretooth. Oh, my goodness gracious. Whew, a boy can dream, can't he? So then later in the comics in Uncanny X-Men 273, all the X-Men were like, hey, we're a team and you guys got to dress like a team. So Wolverine got the blue and gold. Everybody did. I think Storm didn't, but everybody else on the team, Banshee, Jubilee, Gambit, even Psylocke, everybody was wearing these so they can look like a team. And that just isn't Wolverine to me. That's a fail. It's an F. That's a feral. I was going to go days of better costumes, but honestly, this belongs down here too. People are going to argue. This costume right here, this like plain Wolverine costume, just a black costume, don't like it. Same with Wolverine in the X-Men thing. Like that should have been a small little thing where he needed a costume and he grabbed that one for a bit. But that's, I don't like it. I like it, but I don't like it. We got civilian Wolverine. Civilian Wolverine, there's so many civilian Wolverines to choose from, and like, because Wolverine does fight in his civilian clothes so often that it's there. Like, I think the new upcoming Wolverine game looks like he's going to start off in that, was it Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1? He started off in that, just jeans and a tank top. That is the best there is, simply because pretty much that same costume with a cowboy hat is astonishing. Yeah. We're going to revisit the Tiger Stripe with a bit of a twist. This is Tiger Stripe Classic with bone claws, because he had the adamantium ripped out of him and he got bone claws for a while, and it's pretty much the same costume but a slightly different look. And I don't quite like the look of the bone claws, so I got to put that down just below the other classic Tiger Stripe. I love the concept of the bone claws. I like the idea of the bone claws. I just never really was a big fan of the look of them. And then the whole removing of the adamantium thing did result in this feral costume. That was around Onslaught. It was like Wolverine 100 it debuted in, but also like Onslaught, the X-Men comic. Wolverine like regressed and became more of a caveman. He lost his nose, and he was running around in this tattered version of the yellow costume with a bandana. I think at some point he got a red bandana, and this is called Feral Wolverine, and that's, the F tier is feral for a reason. That costume just, ugh. They made an action figure of it in the 90s, but no modern Marvel Legend of it. Next up we have, and this was, where'd it go? There it is. This is Wolverine as a Horseman of Death. This was a costume that happened in, like, started in July 1999, so go ahead and watch my 1999 in Comics series if you do want to learn more about Death, Wolverine as Death, because that we'll be talking about that coming up very soon. Well, as soon as I make July, August, September, November. Bunch of comics. I think with the hood on, he looks like Senyaka. This is just the costume in general, not just this costume. When he had the hood off, once he was revealed as Wolverine, I thought it was something very different. He had a big, cool sword. I really liked the way he looked, so much so that there's a cover with him and Archangel fighting, and I very nearly got that tattooed on my arm. The cover of Wolverine and Angel fighting. While I was scrolling through some of these, I found this one. It's a picture of Wolverine with like a Rambo bandana and a vest. I think that's great. that's astonishing. That's like camping gear, battle ready Rambo Wolverine, and I'm putting that up in astonishing. It's not a look that endured for years, but it's a look that existed, and I like it. Now this isn't a general look for Wolverine, but it is something that has happened. The character's been around for what, 60 years? That doesn't sound right. 50 years at least. Character's been around for nearing 50 years, and how many times have you seen Wolverine fight naked? We have naked Wolverine. Naked Wolverine. Oh, he's not S. I love this 80s Wolverine where he was just hairy as butt. Well, hairy as butt, that's a bad choice of words. I was going to say hairy as balls, but I corrected and said hairy as butt. Anyway, he's just frickin' hairy. He's not as hairy anymore, and that's kind of hogwash, but hairy Wolverine, that's Canadian. That's Canadian. Naked Wolverine. We got this one. I want to say this was Marvel Presents number 130. It's so freaking hot out. Wolverine was like teaming up with Daredevil. He was fighting Typhoid Mary. He got this tactile costume. It's black and purple. Looks a lot like Hawkeye, which later they would have Hawkeye look a lot like Wolverine in Heroes Reborn, but we don't talk about Heroes Reborn. I actually really like this costume. It did not show up again. It's something new. It's something different. It's kind of a precursor to what we would get with the X-Force costume. It's going to be the best that there is. And then when Grant Morrison worked on the X-Men, after the movie came out, the first movie, New X-Men 114. The X-Men were like, nope, we're not wearing costumes anymore. We are going with like tactile gear, tactical gear. They all wore leather jackets. They're still a uniform. They still work as a team look, but they're different. And Wolverine was always shirtless. Not always. He had a shirt sometimes. Frank Quietly designed it. I didn't like Frank Quietly's art. I didn't care for this look. I like the concept of it, but just Wolverine in a jacket is Canadian. Shortly after that, he got this tactical look. I don't know why I called it that. I think that's what they called it in some of them. Combat suit, Uncanny X-Men 423. I actually like the look of it. Not enough to put it right up there at Astonishing. I'm going to put it best there is. It's very inspired by the Ultimate costume that we're going to get to in a little bit. But this is still Core 616 Wolverine. It's kind of a reverse of his tiger stripe. It doesn't have the big shoulder pads, but it's black and it's got the yellow. I like it. It's got the X, but it's not iconic. Didn't stick around. Astonishing X-Men #1. Joss Whedon, John Cassidy. It's just kind of an update on the tiger stripe. It's got some slight differences to it. Nothing too big. But realistically, I don't know if it's different enough that I should call it something different. But it's its own thing. It's up here in Astonishing because it's pretty much Tiger Stripe. I think it's a little more streamlined. I think I like it a little better than Tiger Stripe, quite frankly. But I mean, it's the same thing, just a different artist's take on it, more or less. And then we get young Jimmy Howlett. That's a D. D's a better costume. I mean, he's just wearing a night robe. And then the rest of that series kind of stretched out into Naked Wolverine, all those hairless Naked Wolverine. But yeah, that's just a robe. That was in Origin, up in Canada. So that's actually Canadian. That's a Canadian costume. But no, that's not. C is Canadian is C, not for things that literally took place in Canada. Then we do get the X-Force costume. It was just Black Ops team. So we went black and gray with the red eyes. Warpath was in there. X-23. Bunch of basically characters with claws and knives joined the X-Force, and we're doing some of the underhanded stuff that needed to be done. Cyclops was like, yep, you guys can go do some killing and murder. And you got like it was a tactical costume, right? It was the black and the gray. It's a good look. Kind of need something between Astonishing and Best There Was, but because it's not quite on the same level as a lot of these other classic costumes, but it is not. It's above Fang. Fang is Canadian. What's Fang doing up here? Change Fang to Days of Better Costumes. Wasn't even Wolverine's costume. He just wore it. Screw that. That's a demotion for Fang. Which now I'm going to put X-Force at the top. The tippy top of the Best There Is. Secret War #1. This costume pisses me off. It's stupid looking. It's dumb looking. It's Days of Better Costume. It's nothing special, but then like everybody, Captain America, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, they all got these cool costumes in Secret War. Gabriel Del Otto did the art on it, and we barely saw them really in those costumes in the comic. And then like, I believe it was mostly Marvel Avengers Alliance 2 that had these costumes in there as alternate costumes. And that game like only gave us one alternate costume, but there's just other stuff. We kept seeing these as alternate costumes, and it's like, no, these blow. I don't like them. They're actually, some of them are decent, but it's like, no, they're not iconic enough to be the second costume in any game. Like, come on, I would rather have Fang. I would rather have a Fang costume in a video game than the Secret Wars costume. Insomniac, if you're listening, and you're going to give Wolverine as many costumes as you gave Spider-Man, I still have to play that Spider-Man game. Please give us Fang before you give us Secret Wars. Speaking of playing that game, is that something you guys would watch? I have Spider-Man on my computer here. I've never played it. Should I do live streams of just me playing that game? Should I do live streams of this right now? Like if I'm doing this tier list, should I be doing this live and interacting with you guys while I do it? I don't know. I was thinking about other things to do like for live streams, just for interaction with you guys, like live interaction. I was also thinking maybe I could like read a comic and like have it on the screen while I'm reading the comic, and I'll read it out loud and react to it, I guess, but now I don't want to say I'm reacting to a comic. Anyway, I don't know. Just looking for ideas. You guys float some stuff down there in the comments. I think this, actually, I should be doing this live, this tier list. In Fear Itself #7, Fear Itself, like a bunch of hammers went all around the world and made like evil Thors, and Juggernaut got one, Thing got one. The whole Asgardian nightmare thing. And eventually all the heroes made themselves Asgardian armor, and Wolverine had this Asgardian armor. I believe it was Fear Itself #7. I don't like it. I don't like Wolverine wearing armor at all. except for one coming up that I really like, but I don't know. No, I gotta leave that down. It's not as bad as, yeah, it is. It's feral, and I'm gonna move this up to Days of Better Costumes, because that's what I want to do. And then we had the Age of Ultron, not the Avengers movie, but the Age of Ultron comic book. And Wolverine just got a different costume in it for no real good reason, and it didn't like it. It's just forgettable. It's D, no action figure, which doesn't mean anything if he got an action figure or not, but he just wore it in there, went back in time, stabbed himself. So another Wolverine ongoing series, he got this costume, and I should be editing and putting like better shots of these costumes in over top of this tier list, which I will be. This one, to me, he had no powers, so he did get a bit of an armor suit here. Oh, and he's got like fake claws coming out of the wrist. I actually really like the look of this thing. It's got an X overlaid in it. The suit was actually designed by Superior Spider-Man, which is really cool. That is an S tier for me. I actually quite like it because it also invokes a bit of another non-continuity costume that I'm going to be pulling up here in a little bit. Here it is right here. Yeah, no, that's an S tier. I wish that was something that would have stuck around, and I've never actually read this series that has that, and I think I'm going to now simply because of that and the art on it. I don't know who drew that, and it was a really good, awesome thing, and I like it, and there you have it. Wolverine died. He got encased in adamantium. I was thinking about putting adamantium statue Wolverine in here as a costume. He was just a big ball of adamantium. When he came back, he got this cool costume, which is like red. It's got black and red. It's a look. I like it because it's something different, but at the same time, it's not Wolverine. But yeah, I'm gonna put that in Canadian. Also, when he came back from the dead, he had hot claws. So we got, like Wolverine standard tiger stripe with bone claws is in the best there is. Wolverine standard classic tiger stripe with hot claws is also going right here in the best there is. And then this one, same thing. I just call this kind of the modern costume. I believe this is Simone Bianchi, which is not modern. These are like 10, 15 years old at this point. But that's kind of when I started not reading as many modern comics. But it's just an update on the tiger stripe. And he's got like the X up in his chest portion. And I like it. So that goes there. And then we've got Old Man Logan. Kind of technically not Wolverine because this was an alternate future or timeline, and then he did get carried over to our timeline, so I should probably talk about him with the alternate timeline and stuff, costumes, but because he was on the core team, I just love the look. It's hard to find a promotional image of this guy without his claws popped, which is hilarious because he didn't pop his claws the whole story. That was the point, but then once he joined the regular X-Men, he's like, I'm gonna pop my claws all the time because I'm old. Old Man Logan, he doesn't have the classic Wolverine hair, but he's got the sideburns and the white hair. Just such a great look, but it's inspired by something else that's coming later, so that has to be best there is. Yep. Now, there was a series that was like X-Men Xenogenesis or something. It was Astonishing X-Men Xenogenesis. I'm not even looking up what it was called. I'm calling it Xenogenesis. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care. And the X-Men got costumes, and they wore like khaki pants, yellow t-shirts, and yellow ball caps. And Wolverine in this particular image is like carrying a case. Like he just looks like a plumber. He looks like a plumber on his way to a job. Like what? Again, it's something different. I applaud it. In theory, I kind of like the idea, but in execution, like he just looks like a plumber. It looks like they're on their way to slow pitch. Like I don't know what this is. This is the modern costume I was talking about right here with the X on the chest. Damn it! Thought I had 40 costumes in there twice. Oh well. Two more main continuity costumes here. This one's very recent in the Sabretooth War. Again, I haven't read that, and I've been meaning to. I read a little bit of the Sabretooth War, because, like, Wolverine rips his legs apart. He, like, cuts his arms and feet off. I'm going to be talking about that in an upcoming video about Wolverine and his healing factor, so subscribe if you want to catch that, because subscribing is what you could do for me that makes me just smile. That's the sound of me smiling. So maybe you don't want to subscribe, jeez. Anyway, like I said, I don't like Wolverine in armor. Maybe if I understood why he was wearing this armor, reminds me of the Silver Samurai from the Wolverine movie, so that, yep, Days of Better Costumes. And during the Schism event, there was a thing. Wolverine got brainwashed. They all got brainwashed and joined the circus. This is Revolto the Clown. This is Wolverine as a clown. Like, he popped his claws and put a pie in a guy's face with his claws through the pie. That is classic Wolverine as a clown. You know, the whole thing is just supposed to subvert your expectations because Wolverine's dressed like a clown. I like it, though. It's Wolverine as a clown. Now we're going to dip into some of the alternate universe stuff. Here we go, is the first costume he was wearing in Ultimate X-Men. This is right on the cover of Ultimate X-Men #1. I don't know, I look at this costume and I think about Toad, so I'm going to put that as Canadian. I like it. It's kind of like a take on the brown and tan. It's got like the black and then this tan color inverted. It is what it is. It's Ultimate Universe. His second Ultimate costume is like the combat suit we have that landed up there in B, except this one is similar, but every time I look at this costume, I think of that god darn Marvel Legends action figure they made. I think it was like a Diamond exclusive at first, but then they re-released it. Just the face on that, and that's not this costume's fault. But here it is, and that's Feral. Age of Apocalypse, easily one of my favorite story arcs in comics. Love the concept here. I love the fact that he lost his hand. Cyclops blew his hand off. He took out Cyclops' eye. He put an adamantium cap over it so his hand wouldn't grow back. And by the end of his series, he's popping his claw through the wrist. But at the end of the day, it's just a black costume with a couple of red tiger stripe things, and he's got some red on him. His hair's out of control. So that is the Canadian. Days of Future Past, so iconic. Like I said, the old man Logan here takes a lot from Days of Future Past. You know, Days of Future Past walked so old man Logan could run. And old man Logan, he's got the bomber jacket. Old man Logan's better than this. I'm looking at them both right now. So old man Logan is astonishing, and Days of Future Past is the best there is. Another alternate story that wasn't super alternate, I guess, is the House of M. And at the time, I was like reading comics, and I was like, Wolverine gets shoehorned into everything, and I didn't like it because, Wolverine's popular, and House of M came along, and Wolverine's like the main character in the House of M, but then it made sense because Wanda altered the reality and made everybody get everything they always wanted and formed a new reality. And what Wolverine always wanted? Well, I guess to be the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, but he also always wanted to remember everything, so then Wolverine does. He remembers everything, and there's a loophole there. By remembering everything, he remembers the world that came before the House of M. Therefore, it actually made sense for Wolverine to be the main character in the House of M. And also, just the look of this, they did make an action figure of it, but he's got they all, Mystique and Toad and was it Nightcrawler, I can't remember who else, was on like the Strike Force for S.H.I.E.L.D. They were all wearing the same uniform. And honestly, I like it. He took it off before too long. Like, I wish he would have wore it a lot more in the series, but I like it. I like it. It's astonishing. No, it's not. It's snicked. It is snicked. And then in 2001, they put out these X-Men Millennial Visions, and those actually somewhat spun off into the Exiles series, which is so good. I love Exiles so much. And there's one, Alex Ross, like, redesigned all the X-Men. I'm sure Alex Ross did these designs for something else, and they just reused them for this. But this, like, you're looking at all the X-Men probably right now if I'm editing this properly. But right here, this is the Wolverine costume, like, that is, it's Hugh Jackman. Like, he really did the pencils on Hugh Jackman, but they all had this big X, but then Wolverine still had the little, I just keep calling them tiger stripes, but they're the spikes in it, keeping the X, keeping the tiger stripe motif. It was such a good costume. Alex Ross also did like these unused concept art for Spider-Man that I really quite liked. It belongs in the snicked tier. I wish that they would have gone with costumes like this. Like, that is such a good costume. Anyway, that's about all your time I'm going to take up here. It is hot. I need to turn the air conditioning back on and get back to it. I'll start editing this video right away. Let me know, did I miss a costume here? I tried to cover as many Wolverine looks as I could. Like I said, I got 40, although I did double up on one, I think. And I have like 2 civilian Wolverines. One's got a hat, one doesn't. But I mean, the hat makes a huge difference. It really does. Anyway, let me know which one of these is your favorite. Did I put stuff in the wrong place? Do you think I put stuff in the wrong place? You want to fight me in the comments? I'll come have a conversation with you in the comments. And then, yeah, also in those comments, let me know what you think I should be doing, like, for live streams, if that's something you'd like to see. I got to get a little more set up, but, like, do we have, like, every Thursday I do a tier list? That's just a random example. I don't know what every Thursday, but anyway, until then, you guys stay hossy, and that's how I sign off. I just say hossy, and then I say goodbye. So, bye. It's... Oh... Don't know if that got picked up on the mic.